In today's video, we're going to be going over some 10+ hour long-lasting spring and summer warm weather fragrances that you should consider adding to your collection like right now if you're wanting to grab these and enjoy them while it's warm outside. Typically when you're looking at warmer weather, spring, summer based scents, they'll be lighter, they'll be of course fresher, and with that comes sometimes less performance. You know, sometimes you're getting a lower concentration. Other times, concentration doesn't play into it. Even if it is an eau de parfum or even a parfum, if you're lucky, it doesn't always necessarily guarantee a long-lasting wearing experience when you're talking about brighter, fresher scents. However, these are the exception, and these aren't the only ones. There are plenty of stronger performing warmer weather scents out there. These are just a select few that I'm really enjoying and looking forward to wearing right now. So no matter what type of category you like, whether you like aquatic scents or maybe just fresh citrusy scents, whatever it might be, you're gonna find something that you like in here because we do have a pretty decent variety of some different things. So we're gonna go ahead and get started off with Versace Eros Energy. Now, what I love so much about this one is the opening in particular. Now, the entirety of the wearing experience is good, but the opening, that lemon and lime combination, is truly next level, and that is the thing that really got my attention when I first tried this one when it came out, was that punchy, sour, lemon lime opening. It smells absolutely amazing. It's punchy, it's sour, it's bright, it's vibrant. It's really unlike just about any other designer opening that I've smelled before. It really is that good. So along with that, you also get a little bit of grapefruit, even some blood orange as well. Now, one thing that you're gonna notice when you smell this is that it does smell familiar. And to me, it kind of smells a little bit like Mont Blanc Explorer. Now, I've explained this before, why Explorer and not Creed Aventus. Well, because Mont Blanc Explorer has kind of a lighter, almost watery feel when you compare it to Creed Aventus, which is much more rich, heavy, and full-bodied. Same with some of the other Aventus clones out there. There are others that are much more heavy, they just kind of have more to them. Mont Blanc Explorer has always been a little bit lighter to me, and so this particular Eros kind of reminds me more so of that Mont Blanc. But yet this has way more citrus, way more sour punchiness than Mont Blanc Explorer, so that's the key difference between this and that one as well. So it's kind of like, in a roundabout way, a very sour, citrusy take on Aventus, but with a twist. If you really wanted to dumb it down and look at it that way, that's kind of how I would describe it as well. It's just very, very head-turning because of that opening in particular. And, you know, even into the mid and dry down, you're still maintaining some of that citric punchiness, but, you know, not quite as distinct as in the opening, which makes sense. This is absolutely perfect for spring and summer. I mean, you could not choose anything better for that particular environment where it's really hot outside, the sun is out. You want something that is not really cooling and refreshing, because this one isn't, but it does give you kind of this, I don't know, this summery feel. It blends in perfectly with the high heat, and it feels like it's at home. Kind of like Spice Bomb Extreme is just perfect for winter. It smells like it was made and built exactly for winter, you know, December, January, around the holidays, all of that. That's kind of what this one is, but for spring and summertime. It just has an uplifting smell, which I really like, and it's also super affordable. This next one is Rasasi Hawas Atlantis. I've talked about this one quite a bit as well, and I don't hear a ton about it. Maybe availability plays into that a little bit, because I don't think it is on every discounter yet, like regular Hawas and maybe a few of the other existing flankers that have been out for longer. This one is of the relatively newer batch. You know, they released like 4 or 5 of them all at once, pretty much, this being one of them. And so what this one is actually a clone of a discontinued Invictus fragrance, that one being Invictus Legend. It smells very, very similar. And Invictus Legend also was a scent that never got a ton of love either. It wasn't unknown. I mean, people were very much aware of it, but when you look at things like Invictus Acqua, even things like, you know, the newer Invictus Parfum, Invictus Victory, Invictus Victory Absolute. All of those have gotten quite a bit more love than what Invictus Legend did back when it was around, at least to the best of my recollection. And so what this one does really is it focuses in on a lot of this amberwood or ambergris smell, but really it's probably just like an amberwood slash ambroxan. You're getting a ton of that in here. You get some watery notes, kind of like a slight sea, salty marine smell too. A little bit of citrus, like a little bit of bergamot, but that's honestly not the key player. The main thing about this one is that marine type of smell. So instead of being your typical aquatic, which would be like Invictus Acqua and things of that nature, this one's more heavy, more dense, more marine based. It's just much more of an intense wearing experience, which kind of goes against the grain for your typical summer scent. Maybe that's why this one didn't take off in the way that Invictus Acqua did, because it's a little bit of a different take. It's just a heavier, richer scent. But for me, I like it because it's different. It just has a very powerful, commanding, and oceanic smell to it. This is not something that goes unnoticed. It's not something that can be mistaken for, oh, he just put on deodorant or he just stepped out of the shower. It doesn't have that type of soapiness. This is very much an intentional smell, meaning like if somebody smells this, they're going to know it was you applying a cologne. You know, it can't be mistaken for anything else, you know, like a deodorant or something like that, which is also why I like this one. And a lot of fresher scents maybe could be mistaken for something like that. So all around, really enjoy it. If you want a take on Invictus Legend and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on tracking down a bottle of Invictus Legend, I would recommend going this way. When you can find it, I think it's typically 45 bucks. Really not too bad. Super, super long lasting, great projection as well. Just a heavy performing scent all the way through. This next one is Versace Man Eau Fraiche, the extreme version. This one has orange blossom, ambroxan. You get some lavender in here as well. It smells really, really nice. And it kind of is interesting because, yes, you still do get that Man Eau Fraiche smell, that nice, bright, kind of starfruit, citrusy, musky smell. You do get a little bit of that in here. However, it does, interestingly, provide a little bit of a YSL Myself smell in here too, and maybe that's coming from the orange blossom. That's a very key player in the Eau de Parfum and Myself Les Parfums, and I guess even in Absolute as well. It's just orange blossom is one that is pretty frequent in those, and it's actually pretty prominent as well, and you do get that here. Now, I'm not saying this is a Myself clone or anything like that, not that simple, but it does definitely kind of lean into that category a little bit. It does smell really nice, but as I mentioned, it still does tie back to that original Man Eau Fraiche smell. And I would honestly say that they did a pretty good job of creating what I would kind of expect out of an extreme version of Man Eau Fraiche. I wouldn't want it to smell exactly like the original, but stronger necessarily, because, I mean, we've had that original for so many years. You know, it was nice that we're getting an updated refresh here. You know, you can pull that off when you have, like, you know, an eau de toilette, and then 2 years later or even a year later you put out an extreme version and it smells nearly identical but stronger. That's one thing, right? But when you've had Eau Fraiche for so many years, if they were to just put out something that smelled exactly the same, they just increased the concentration, that would be a letdown. And luckily they didn't do that here. It really is a nice kind of refresh, a modernized refresh on that existing DNA, which I think they did a great job. This next one is Armani Acqua di Gio. This is the Elixir version. It's got watery notes, leather, violet leaf, and mandarin. Smells so, so good and so different. Not at all what I was expecting, and still isn't, although I'm used to it now, and I've come to realize that, you know, you just had to put your expectations aside, and kind of what you were expecting it to be is not going to always come to life, and that's okay. I'm not disappointed in it. It just took me off guard when I got it in, because in one way it felt like it was going in the opposite direction of something like Profumo / Parfum, because those kind of have a little bit more of a smoky smell, you know, just a nighttime type of feel. And I figured that this is going to inherit some of that and then maybe go further. Instead, in some ways, it's a little bit fresher because they're adding in this violet leaf note. They're even adding in just a little bit of a white floral. So there's that. But at the same time, they're also giving us some leather. And the leather is what really kind of makes this one stand out, and to me, that's about my favorite part. Honestly, it's the leather and violet leaf mixture in this one that I enjoy so much, because we haven't really gotten leather in Acqua di Gio, and I don't even think we've gotten a violet leaf in any of the flankers yet up until now either. So a couple new additions that fit in really well with that existing Acqua di Gio DNA, which you do still get in here. So the way to look at this one is it's just a little bit more of a leathery and slightly watery take on Acqua di Gio, but not necessarily in more of an aquatic way. That watery violet leaf smell gives it a different type of watery feel that you get from a violet leaf and not just from aquatic notes. So just a little bit of a different twist on this DNA overall, which works really well. It is a parfum concentration and has great performance. You're paying up for this stuff. It's not cheap, but if you're a fan of the Acqua di Gio series, this is kind of a must-have, at least to me. All right, this next one is a new release from Dumont, one that I assumed I was going to like because, to be fair, all of the ones that I've tried so far, I've really enjoyed. Nitro Red Intensely, Nitro Red Elixir, they're all great. You know, it's kind of, they're so popular and they go so viral that there's part of you that makes you want to dislike them because it's like, oh, everybody's talking about this. But then I try them and I'm like, well, I can't argue with that. It smells good. But this new one is Nitro Gold. So just came out, I think, I don't know, 2 weeks ago maybe, and is already off to a pretty good start. Everybody's talking about this stuff. Again, I figured I was going to like it. Just looking at the bottle, perhaps even looking at the name, I had a pretty good idea in my mind of what I thought it was going to lean towards. And that would be something like Creed Millesime Imperial. I can tell you, it does go in that direction a little bit. However, I wouldn't label this as a Millesime Imperial clone. So very important. This is another example of what they've been doing already, really, which is maybe pulling inspiration from a few things and then doing their own twist. So as far as notes are concerned on this one, we have marine notes, salt, tangerine, cognac, believe it or not, and then some amber wood in here. And there's a few more too, but those are kind of the main ones. The way I'll look at this one and the way I'll describe it is, surprisingly, it's actually a bit fresher than Nitro Red. Still getting a little bit of a fruity sweetness, not nearly as much as Nitro Red Intensely. The main thing about this one is kind of the salt and the marine aquatic notes that this one gives off. It makes it more summer oriented, so it is fresher, and I love that about this one. The other thing is kind of going into what would make this smell somewhat similar to Millesime Imperial is it kind of has a little bit of a, like a fruity melon smell. Now, they don't list off melon, they list off tangerine, and I think maybe bergamot, and maybe a couple other citrusy leaning notes, but not melon in particular. But you do pick up on a little bit of a melon accord, which Millesime Imperial is known for legitimately smelling like melon and sea salt. So that's kind of where the comparison comes. You get a little bit of that, you get a lot of that sea saltiness and that marine smell, but then later on in the scent you get cognac. That's kind of a new addition. It still just goes in a different direction, but definitely I can see where people would think that it smells a bit like Millesime Imperial. I know I think that it kind of is pulling some inspiration from that, but ultimately still much fresher than a lot of the others in the lineup, making it absolutely incredible for spring and summer use. This is probably my favorite one, and I kind of thought that pretty much instantly when I tried it. I was immediately in love with it, but now after I've been able to wear it for much longer and have spent a lot more time with it since then, I can still confirm I think this is my favorite one. Still love Nitro Red and Intensely, but this is amazing. Straight concentration as well, nice magnetic cap. It's 45 bucks. You really can't go wrong with it. Kind of running down to the end here, we have Tumi Awaken Distilled. Man, is this one good. It's kind of one of those scents that can be a little bit easy to forget about. You know, you just, I don't know, you get caught up in other things. But then I go back to this one and I'm like, I love it. Absolutely love it. It's got amber wood, cedar wood, orange. Get a little bit of lavender in here as well. It smells so, so good. Now, I have the original Awaken as well. It's going to be cheaper. This one is around $80, and I think the original is like $40. So it's double the price. Now, will this go down in price a bit more? Hopefully. I haven't seen it yet. Unless you have, let me know. However, it's so much better than the original that to me it's worth paying the extra 40 bucks for it. It's going to be heavier, stronger, much better performing than the original Awaken. And it's not quite as fresh as the original too. And it's still fresh leaning. It's still spring and summer oriented. That's why it's in this video. But this is an extrait concentration and it just wears more like what you would expect out of an extrait, of course. And also just has a little bit more substance to it overall. I love the orange in here. It's a really, really nice kind of realistic smelling orange, but without being too crazy, too sour, or anything like that. Nice aromatic freshness from the lavender and lots of amberwood, which is a very common note. It doesn't push it into the blue fragrance category, so there's nothing to worry about with that. Still very much maintaining kind of a fruity scent, but grounded with aromatics and some woods too. So really, really nice. Very, very versatile. Last up for this video, we have Bvlgari Man Glacial Essence. This one has clearwood, juniper berries, and musk. Man, this one is so, so good. And another one that's really unique to me, really stands out. The Bvlgari Man series, they have a few in the line that just are really, really amazing and ones that go against the grain. This is kind of one of them. Now, I'm not saying it's the most unique thing you've ever smelled, but at the same time, it doesn't really smell like anything else in particular, at least that comes to mind when I smell it. So it has this kind of watery leaning woodiness, but still kind of bright, sour, punchy off the opening too. It has a similar type of sugary citrus smell that wood essence and even a little bit of wood neroli has. Now, I'm not saying exact, but it kind of inherits a little bit of that style, mixing with this very cooling, refreshing, almost aldehydic leaning freshness. Again, to double down on the word cooling. It really has a cooling and refreshing smell to it. Get your nose on this one. It's pretty amazing how they're able to convey that type of not only smell, but just feeling. I mean, when you smell it, it really is just, I don't know, it wakes you up. And this is one where when you're wearing it in the heat, it's amazing, right? It really just feels refreshing and it doesn't get too heavy, too cloying. Really solid pick. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some 10+ hour performing spring and summer warm weather scents that now would be the time to be picking up if you're wanting to enjoy these as it's warming up outside. As always, I'll put links to all these down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.